Samanta Chakavalesu Atra Gachantu Devata Saddhammang Munirajasa Sunantu Sagha Mokkadhang Dhamma Savana Kalo Ayang Badanta Dhamma Savana Kalo Ayang Badanta Dhamma Savana Kalo Ayang Badanta Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa Dhammo Dippatu Lokasmin. May the Dhamma flourish in this world. May the Dhamma shines forth in this world forever. First of all, I pay homage to the Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha. I respectfully recall the late Most Venerable Acharya Buddharakkhita Badabanteji and his teacher, Most Venerable Professor Rerukane Chandamimala Mahanayakatero, and all the Badabantejis who taught Acharya Buddharakkhita Bandeji, and all the Most Venerable Mahasangha who is present here. I seek permission to continue with this Dhamma sermon. Dear devotees, for today's Dhamma sermon, I have selected one discourse from Samyutta Nikaya, which comes under the Maha, and under the subtopic we call Satipatthana Samyutta. As we have just finished off doing some meditation, the main purpose of entire Buddha Dhamma and all the process of meditation is nothing but restrain our sense bases and ultimately attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana. In other words, becoming the still point of the turning world. So the entire world is turning around. So our effort is to become a still point, to make one place which is unshakable by worldly matters. So this is the main intention of practicing Dhamma. So keeping that main focus in your mind, let us start today's Dhamma discourse. Dear devotees, this sutta's name is Sakunagghi Sutta. Sakunagghi Sutta is the Pali word. I have taught this to some monks in our monastery. So this is for them another revision lesson. So for some people, this is a fresh Dhamma discourse. The word Sakunagghi has a meaning. We know in Pali language, Sakuna is a bird. Sakuna is the bird. Sakunagghi is the bird hunter. Who is the bird hunter? There are so many kinds of bird hunters. Sometimes people also hunt birds. But here, in this sutta, Buddha refers to a particular bird who is a bird hunter. Sakunagghi in Pali is hawk. Do you know who is a hawk? H-A-W-K, the word hawk. It's an eagle-like big bird which has a pointed beak, which is a curved beak, and who has a very sharp eyes. who can fly very fast in the very high sky. So the word Sakunagghi means the hawk. The Buddha starts this sutta, dear devotees, starting like this. Bhuta pubbhang bhikkhave desisami. Monks, I will tell you something which happened in the past. That's the meaning of the word bhuta pubbhang. Bhuta is happened, pubbhang means in the past. So Buddha was relating a story which happened in the past. Dear devotees, this sutta has only a very short story, but with a very important, very vast meaning behind the story. Therefore, you have to listen to the every minute detail of this sutta very carefully, forgetting everything else and keeping the focus of your mind to what I say. The Buddha says at the very inception of the sutta, monks, there was one hawk flying in the very high sky. One day, when it was flying the very high sky, what happens? He happened to see one quail on the ground. Do you know who is a quail? Quail. Quail is a very small bird who normally lives on ground, especially who used to dwell in the small holes that we find in a freshly plowed fields, paddy fields, with clods of soil. So we know when a paddy field is freshly plowed, there the earth is turned here and there, and in between we have small holes. So in such holes, these quails live. Quail is a very small bird with the exactly with the color of the soil. So when he is living in these small holes in the soil, we hardly witness, we hardly recognize that there's a bird. So one day, one quail, he left this is plowed field, and he was uh, walking here and there in other field. So this hawk, what happened? He noticed this small quail, and he quickly swooped down. He quickly came down and caught this small bird from his nailed hand and quickly went to the high sky. Now, dear Dhamma friends, this hawk is flying with keeping this small bird in his clutch. That means in his nailed hand. Now, although this bird is very small, his voice, his sound is not that small. He was shouting very loudly, saying what? According to the Sutta, it was saying, I am so unfortunate. I am of so little merit. I have no punya. That is why I got caught to this hawk. I was straying outside my ancestral domain. I was walking outside my regular place. I was straying outside my own area. That is why this hawk caught me. Otherwise, this hawk wouldn't have had any chance, any room to catch me whatsoever. He was making a huge lament, huge cry while being carried away by this hawk. So this hawk, dear Dhamma friends, was listening to this big sound of this small bird. So what did he happen to think? This hawk was thinking, so this is an insult to me. Why? Such a small bird is telling me that if it was in his own ancestral domain, I wouldn't have caught him. How come? I'm such a strong bird. This is such a poor small bird. How dare him to say like that? He was thinking like that. Then now he was so enthusiastic to find out what is this ancestral domain? What is his own area this small bird is referring to? Then, while being carried away like that, this hawk asked from the small bird, Quail, what is that ancestral domain that you are referring to? What is your own area? The Pali word is, Dhamma friends, ancestral domain is Pettika Visayang, the father's area. Own domain, so there, that is his own area, native area. So this hawk was asking from the small bird, what is this ancestral domain? What is your own area that you are referring to? Then this bird replied, Hawk, it was nothing but a freshly plowed field with clods of soil. Do you understand what I am referring to? A freshly plowed area is a paddy field, freshly prepared for sowing the seeds. So what do? We are plowing, the farmers are plowing the field so that the soil is turned here and there. Because so there are so much clods of soil in that area. So in between these clods and soil, there are so many spaces. These small spaces are like small nests for these quails. So this is the area that this small bird is referring to. So this quail said, Hawk, my ancestral domain is a freshly plowed paddy field with a lot of clods of soil. Then what did the hawk did, Dhamma friends? It was an insult to this big bird. Huh? Then he said to this quail, thinking, he said to this bird, okay, I will release you now. Okay, you go to your own ancestral domain. But remember, even there, you will not escape from me. You are not safe. You go to your, if you are thinking that you are such a big fellow like that, okay, so you go to your own field. I will catch you there. Then, thinking that way, this big hawk, dear Dhamma friends, released this quail, the small bird. Now, what happened? This quail quickly flew back to his own ancestral domain. What is the own ancestral domain? A freshly plowed paddy field with lots of plots of soil. Then what did he do? Climbing up to one clod of soil, this small bird did a proclamation to the hawk. Looking at the hawk, he said, Hawk, come. If you think you are such a big man, huh? If you think that you are such a big, strong fellow, come and catch me. I'm here. Come and get me. He was making an open challenge to the hawk. Now, the hawk, observing all these things, Dhamma friends, what did he do? He was anger stricken. It was an insult. Then, what did he do? Looking at this small bird who is challenging, climbing onto a one clod of soil, looking at this bird, targeting this bird, what did he do? From a very high sky, he started coming to this bird like an arrow, very fast. Very fast, he was approaching this bird. What did this bird do? He first let the hawk come to him until it is very close. When the hawk came very close, very fast to this bird, what did he do? He quickly slipped into a hole of the clod. He, he creeped into the hole of this plot of soil. What happened to the big bird? He couldn't control his speed. He clashed his breast against this clod of earth. And the Sutta says he shattered his breast and died on the spot. So that was the story. What happened to the hawk? It died on the ancestral domain of whom? That small bird. So that was his ancestral domain. So it is the irony of fate. Earlier, the bird was in the ancestral domain of the hawk. Therefore, he got caught to the hawk. Now, after that, the hawk released him. The small bird came to his ancestral domain. Now, the big bird caught, the big bird lost even his life in the ancestral domain of the small bird. That was the story. Telling the story after that, my friends, Buddha said, this is what happened, bhikkhus. This is uh, uh, that is the very sorrowful destiny of the person who goes out of his ancestral domain, who goes away from his own area. This is what happens. So it was a story related not to everyone, but it is for the monks. So Buddha says, in this way, bhikkhus, if you go away from your ancestral domain into the domain of others, you are not safe. The Mara can always take a hold on you. The Mara can always approach you and harm you and catch you if you go outside of your domain. Now the Buddha was referring to what, dear Dhamma friends? He was asking one question. What is not the ancestral domain into the domain of others for bhikkhus? What is not the domain for bhikkhus? What do you think, Dhamma friends? Buddha here mentions, dear bhikkhus, the 5 strands of sensual pleasure is not the ancestral domain for bhikkhus. What is that? 5 strands of sensual pleasure. In Pali, we call Panchakama Guna. What are Panchakama Guna in English? The objects, the rupas that you see from the eyes, which are pleasurable, which are very beautiful, which are attractive. This is one area. This is not your domain. The sounds that you hear from your ears, which are pleasurable, which are very soothing to your ears, which are very attractable, this is another area which is not your domain. And the pleasurable smells that you experience through your nose, this is another area which is not your domain, bhikkhus. And very attractive tastes that you experience through your tongue, this is another area which is not your area but the other's area. The very pleasurable touches that you experience, your skin, this is not your area. This is not your domain. And these 5 bhikkhus, if you cling to them, if you dwell attracted to them, then you are not in your ancestral domain. You are into the domain of others. Who are these others referring to, Dhamma friends? Others is nothing but the Mara. If you are living in these five sensual pleasures, the domain of these five sensual pleasures, Panchakama Guna, the Mara, the evil one, will always have a hold on you. He can do whatever he wishes to you when you are in this area. This is not your ancestral domain. This is not your Pettika Visaya. Okay, Dhamma friends, what do you think? Pettika Visaya in Pali is your father's domain. When somebody is in his father's domain, they are always protected, no? Think about your life. When you are small, when you are in your father's garden, when you are under the protection of your mother and father, weren't you protected? Yes, you always protected. You have very much strength in your mind. I have protection. I am protected. Nobody can harm me. Nobody can make any problem to me. So, in that sense, who is the father of the bhikkhus? Father of the bhikkhus is the Buddha. That is why they are called Buddha Putra, the Shakya Putra. So, what is Buddha's ancestry? So, what is the Buddha's protected area? So, what is the Buddha's domain according to Dhamma? So, we have to think about that. So, we knew what is Mara's area. What is that area? Five sensual pleasures. Now we have to find out what is the protected area. What is the bhikkhu's ancestral domain? What is the bhikkhu's own area? What is the area that when the bhikkhus is living there, when they are always protected? Buddha says, therefore, bhikkhus, don't stray, don't go here and there in the area which is not your area, which is not your father's area. Don't live there because you are not protected. You come to your father's area, that is ancestral domain. What is that? Buddha says, it is nothing but Sattaro Satipatthana, the four foundations of mindfulness. You have heard this. It is mentioned in Majjhima Nikaya Satipatthana Sutta and also in Digha Nikaya Maha Satipatthana Sutta. The sutta starts with Buddha's introduction. Ekayano ayang bhikkhave maggo sattanang visuddhya soka paridavanang samatikkamaya dukkha domanassanang attaggamaya nyayassa adigamaya nibbhanassa satchikriyaya yadidang chattaro satipatthana. Ekayano ayang bhikkhave maggo. Dear monks, there is one way, one main way, one royal path to the Nibbana. What is this? The four foundations of mindfulness. You know what are they? What are they? Kaya anupassana, Vedana anupassana, Dhamma anupassana, Chitta anupassana. So we'll take one example depending on the time that we have. What is Kaya anupassana? Buddha says, monks, well contemplating on your body by the body. Ida bhikkave bhikkhu kaye kayanupassi viharati. Atapi sampajhano satima vinaya loke abhijja dhomanasang. Meaning, Ida bhikkave bhikkhu, here monks, a monk. Atapi sampajhano, atapi, ardent. Sampajhano, with clear comprehension. Sampajhano. Satima. Satima is mindful. Vinaya loke abhijja dhomanasang. Abhijja dhomanasang is covetousness and hatred. abhijja domanasang. Vinaya loke, removing the covetousness, that is greed and hatred towards this world. This monk is dwelling like that. How? Atapi sampajano satima vinaya loke, abhijja domanasang. The monk is living, comprehending his body on the body. Why, dear devotees, Buddha was telling, body on the body? Why twice? Isn't it enough to say, kayānupassi viharati? Why did he tell, kaye kayānupassi viharati? Do we have two bodies? No. There's a reason. It's like, just like a carpenter would take his tool and take a piece of wood, and he would always use his tool to make the uneven points of this piece of wood, to make it smooth and even, little by little, looking at this piece of wood in different angles. In the same way, a monk will observe his own body in different angles using his own body. We are observing our body by using our own body. That is why he mentioned kaye kayānupassi viharati. But we have to be satima. We have to be mindful. Satima vinaya loke abhijja domanasang. Sometimes when you are comprehending, two negative feels are arising in our mind. What are they? Sometimes abhijja. Sometimes we feel so craved to these things, what we observe. We should not crave these things. That is one end. Sometimes when we are contemplating on worldly things, we feel so hatred. We are growing some hatred towards them. That is also not suitable. So putting aside this abhijja and domanasang in relation to this world, we have to practice this kayanupassana. And satima vinaya loke is that. So kaye kayanupassi is that. In the Satipatthana Sutta, first Buddha mentioned what is kaye kayanupassi viharati. In the same way, dear devotees, Buddha say, chitte chittanupassi viharati. Observing the mind from the mind in the mind. Then dhammesu dhammanupassi viharati. Observing the phenomena in phenomena. Then vedanasu vedanasu passi viharasi. Observing, dwelling, contemplating on the feelings on feelings. When you are dwelling like that, dear Dhamma friends, Buddha says, for the bhikkhus, then the Mara will not find any room, any chance to harm you. That is because that is not his field. That is the Buddha's area. So, by preaching this short Dhamma sermon, dear Dhamma friends, I'm inviting you to leave behind the Mara's area and come to the Buddha's area, which is the Chattaro Satipatthana. To reach that area as layman, first of all, you have to come to another safer area. What is that? If you are not following the Tisarana Panchasila, first of all, you have to come to the Trisarana Panchasila. Get well established in your Panchasila. So, whenever you are following the Panchasila, so many advantages you get. So many advantages. So, you are protected from the worldly dangers at the first time, for the first thing. And then, when you are well established in this Trisarana Panchasila, then you gradually you are entering to the Buddha's ancestral area. What is that? Chattaro Satipatthana. When you are dwelling in that area, nobody can harm. I will tell you one more example, just to have an idea. Have you seen a turtle? Yes. Turtle has a very powerful, very strong shell at its back. When the turtle is putting out his head and four legs, any creature, any carnivorous creature which comes from outside can catch him any of these parts, either from his head or from his hands or from his legs. But what happens when a turtle, seeing the danger of this outside animal, what if it were to put his head and four legs into the shell? Isn't he protected? Yes, he is protected in his own field. Why? He has a protection wherever he goes. Likewise, if you are a layman who follows the Panchasila in your level best and who is trying to practice this Chattaro Satipatthana, you have a shell within you. That is the shell of Dhamma. Wherever you go, you are protected. You are in the field of the Buddha. You are in the field of ancestral domain of the Buddha. You are always protected from the Mara powers. You have so much confidence. So this is the message, dear Dhamma friends, the Buddha gives from this sutta. So therefore remember, although it was basically preached to the bhikkhus, it is always applicable for us as a layman, for you as a layman, and for us as the clergy, the Buddhist clergy. So get the main idea of this sutta to your mind. Therefore, remember, whenever you feel like going outside your ancestral domain, remember you are running a very huge danger. Therefore, get yourself again back to the ancestral domain of yours. That is the Trisharana Panchasila. And beyond that, what is that? The Chattaro Satipatthana, the four foundations of mindfulness. Okay, this is the message that I wanted to give you from this sutta. The same sutta you can find in the Jataka book. The Jataka tells Sakunagghi Jataka. In the Sakunagghi Jataka, only a little difference there in the story. The Sakunagghi was Devadatta. The small bird was the Bodhisattva. So, using these characters, the Sakunagghi Sutta tells you, the Sakunagghi Jataka tells you the same story. So, those who are interested in reading that, find that story and read again. So, you can always, when I preach any sutta from any part of the Tripitaka, you have all the resources and go back to the Tripitaka book and read it yourself in Pali or in English, whatever the language you like, and read and reread. Take the message to your mind and take the essence of the sutta and make use of the essence of the sutta in your day-to-day life. Be mindful. Be mindful when you feel like going out of the ancestral domain. Take yourself back to the domain of the ancestral domain, which is not the domain of the Mara. I told you Mara is everywhere. Mara is everywhere. The teledrama you watch in the TV, the Mara is there. The beautiful voice that you hear, the Mara is there if you're not mindful, right? So, with that, I will wind up this small Dhamma talk, which I related from the Sakunagghi Sutta, Samyutta Nikaya, Mahavagga, Satipatthana, Samyutta. So the small story is small, the message is so vast. It is useful for both clergy and the laity alike. So with that, I will wind up this small Dhamma talk. All the merits that we have gathered by listening to this Dhamma sermon and by preaching this Dhamma sermon, first of all, let us transfer all the merits to all the deities who are protecting this Dhamma, this land, the land of the Buddha, and all the people in this world. May they embrace this merit and may they be liberated from all suffering, and may they attain supreme bliss of Nibbana. May we transfer all these merit for all the departed relatives of ours, all the departed uh, teachers of ours, and all the other people who are near and dear to us. And may they rejoice in this merit and attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana. And again, I will transfer all the merits, those who have recently passed away owing to the earthquake which happened in the Burma and the Thailand, and may they have a peaceful birth, next birth, with Dhamma and opportunity to listen Dhamma, and ultimately may they attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.